Good morning, members of the Lambton County Council and members of the public joining us today, as well as any media. Welcome to Budget Day 2024. I would ask Ms. Leger to take the roll call, please.
Yes, thank you, Warden Marriott. Councillor Agar. Councillor McEwen for Councillor Atkinson. Councillor Bushi. Councillor Bradley. Councillor Broad. Councillor Case. Councillor Cook. Councillor Dennis. Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Hand. Councillor Loosely. Councillor McRoberts. Councillor Miller. Councillor Sageman. Councillor Bean. Deputy Warden White. And Warden Marriott. Quorum.
Thank you. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. I'd ask any member of council to declare pecuniary interest now or where it may arise during the meeting. Councillor Loosely.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. I'd like to declare a conflict of interest on tab 9, pages 9 to 33, the EMS, tab 13, capital projects, 47-100, 47-101, 47-102 with EMS, and tab 14, R7 reserve and reserve funds EMS, due to the fact that my son works part-time for EMS. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others at this time? Councillor Bean.
Thank you, Warden. I will have to declare a conflict as well. Caught me off guard. I'm not sure which one it is. So anyway, it's for tourism sign.
Okay. Are there any others? Seeing none. Item number 4, motion to go in camera for the reasons noted in the agenda, please. Councillor Hand and Councillor McRoberts, all in favor? That's carried. And we'll stay here for that. Welcome back. If everybody would join me in a moment of silent reflection, please. Thank you. Item number 7, I'd ask Ms. Leger to rise and report motions of in camera, please.
Yes, thank you, Warden Marriott. I can report that Lambton County Council met in camera this morning for approximately 2 minutes to address a few matters. First being to review and approve the Lambton County Council closed session minutes of February 7th, 2024, which addressed 2 matters: receiving a report regarding collective bargaining with respect to UNIFOR 444, and also to receive a report concerning property information that's subject to an acquisition and disposition of lands in the city of Sarnia. Secondly, County Council met in closed session this morning to review and approve the closed session Committee of the Whole minutes of February 21st, 2024, which provided instructions from the Board of Health with respect to negotiations from Lambton Public Health and a third party regarding organizational matters. And then lastly, County Council provided instructions with respect to collective bargaining for UNIFOR 444. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 8, minutes of open council session of February the 7th. Motion to adopt those, please. Moved by Councillor Case and seconded by Councillor Sageman. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Item number 9, 2024 budget deliberations. I would ask Mr. Pilarchio if he would like to go over and review the day's process, please.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. To kick off and start off our first day of budget deliberations, I thought I'd take a few minutes to go through some a really quick general overview of what we presented on February 21st. You may recall on February 21st, the county divisions prepared a draft budget that introduced a baseline budget increase of 4.4% to operate all programs across the county, including capital. We also included within that 4.4% an additional 1.1% for strategic investment in affordable housing, for a total recommended rate increase of 5.5% in this draft budget that's in front of you today. So as part of the housekeeping items that we have, there's a memo that we prepared for you that states that the budget approval bylaw number 7 has been prepared referencing 2024 PSAB compliant total expenses. That's there for you under tab 1. The agenda for your budget review meeting sets out all matters either included in the draft budget or items that have been referred to these deliberations. The expenditure and funding required as detailed in the draft 2024 budget does not include any funding or accounting for what we will call tab 2, which is a referred to budget item. That's primarily the roundabout. We have the manager divisional support services and staff that will record the financial impact of all motions in our county's budget minutes program. Should a recorded vote be requested, details of how each county councillor votes and the result of the vote will be displayed by the county budget minutes program. Because neither the amount nor the funding required for the items referred to budget are currently included in the draft 2024 budget, what we'll need is a motion to either include the referred to item in the budget or not. The opposite holds true for basically tabs 3, where we would not require a motion if you agree with the amounts there as presented. The only time you would require a motion is if you want to either increase or decrease the amounts within those specific tab areas. All departmental managers are here. There will not be any staff presentations, but if there's any questions pertaining to any specific area, we'd be more than happy to try to address those questions. And should you require additional time, there's a second budget date that's set for Wednesday, March 20th. And I think that's all I have to say, and thanks for reviewing the 2024 budget with us.
Thank you, Mr. Pilarchio. Moving on to 9B, items referred to budget. Councillor Agar.
Thanks, Warden. I would like to go to tab 2, the intersection improvement at County Road 4, Petrolia Line, and County Road 31, Kimball. I would like to make a motion to authorize engineering and typical studies and the cost thereof, an amount not to exceed $400,000 to be drawn from debt, and that staff bring back an engineering project scope in 2025 for council's consideration. Thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Case. Discussion, Councillor Bradley, and then Councillor Ferguson.
Yeah, just so the motion's understood, why would we borrow for that? And why wouldn't we simply go to that widows and orphans fund that we have for such a low cost item to borrow for that type of money?
I would ask Mr. Pilarchio if you'd like to comment on that, please.
Typically, it's a service improvement project. It's just a component of that overall capital program. All I think the councilor is trying to do is to authorize the debt. We haven't issued the debt until the project is fully complete.
Is that if the motion passes, what will then be the timing? We're talking 2025, 2026 realistically, Mr. Cole, on construction, because I think we're all concerned about the impact on the levy this year, and it appears the solution being offered will take that down significantly. So what would be the completion date if you got everything can work fine, you got the land, everything happened? We're talking probably 2026?
Mr. Cole, please.
Through the warden to Councillor Bradley, 2026 is a fair estimate. I'd like to remind council that we have not even completed the environmental assessment, so we don't want to preclude the outcome of that environmental assessment. You heard a presentation outlining where that was going, but it still needs to be finalized. And then moving on to detailed design and other pre-design work, such as municipal drain work, utility design, and things like that. It is a significant effort at that location. Using the whole of 2025 to start to address those issues is reasonable, and then construction in 2026 would be, I think, the earliest we could get to it.
To follow up question, Mr. Warden, to the treasurer. So would you be putting in the budget, if we move this motion today and we're moving forward, will you be putting each year a significant sum of money so we're not getting a $4 million hit next year or the year after?
Mr. Pilarchio, please.
I would suggest that if this motion passes, $400,000 would be included in 2024 funded through debt. 2025, there would be subject to budget deliberations, an amount approved dependent on what council decides. And if at that time, with construction, assuming approvals in 2026, but those are all subject to annual budget reviews and approvals.
What I'm trying to get to is this would be just part of they would put aside the regular capital money like you would for all the other projects, and it would be there every year. So there's not this very significant hit in 1 year on the debt on the public.
Mr. Pilarchio.
That is correct. Construction is usually the bigger cost component of the project, which would probably be 2026.
Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Warden. Towards Mr. Cole, I just want to double check that the roundabout at Forest Town line in 22, we're looking at 26. Where would that one that's already in the books for the round, how does that fit through on the overall scenario for the two roundabouts, which actually both are in the books? Thank you.
Mr. Cole, please.
Through you, Warden, to Councillor Ferguson. Yes, the roundabout at London Line and Forest Road, we are proceeding with detailed design. So if you want to compare it to the other project, we're one step ahead of the of the Kimball and Petrolia line project. We do still plan to proceed with that design and bring construction value back to council when that work is complete and we have a tender value that we are comfortable with.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Any other, Councillor McEwen, please.
Do I have to stand?
We actually have that in our books that we.
You stand?
But
I don't mind staying. Okay, since this road construction appears to be for the benefit of local industry, should they not be solicited to pay for the majority of this expense, or at least a good part of it? I think it just appears to be just for the benefit of local industry, and I know it'll improve that corner. However, it probably wouldn't have been considered if it weren't for the industrial traffic going through there.
would Mr. Cole like to tackle that one, please?
Through the warden to Councillor McEwen. So that's a good question. We have not specifically solicited industry for any types of funds. And typically in this sort of environment, any kind of donation that way would be a voluntary contribution to any kind of county work that we would do. Certainly industry is using that roadway. This is part of the oversized load corridor, and we are specifically incorporating design elements into the roundabout to allow for that oversized load corridor to continue to function. Going out to make that solicitation is not beyond our ability, but I cannot control the outcome.
Follow up, Councillor McEwen?
Can they be nudged?
Mr. Cole, please.
In response, Mr. Warden, I wish I had that kind of influence entirely.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, are we ready to vote? Councillor Agar.
I'd like to request a recorded vote, please.
Okay. Request for recorded vote, and we look to the lucky winner. Ms. Leger, please.
So a recorded vote requested by Councillor Agar. It's moved by Councillor Agar, seconded by Councillor Case, and we'll start at Councillor Bouchy. Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Bradley? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Broad? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Case? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Cook? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Dennis? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Ferguson? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Hand? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Loosely? No. I have a no. Councillor McRoberts? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Miller? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Sageman? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Veen? Yes. I have a yes. Deputy Warden White? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Agar? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor McEwen for Councillor Atkinson? Yes. I have a yes. And Warden Marriott?
Yes.
I have a yes. That motion passes.
Okay. So moving on to 9C, review of department budgets. We will start with tab 4. Any questions or comments on tab 4? Councillor Dennis.
Thank you, Warden Marion. This includes the operating budget, does it not? Yes, I have a couple of questions with respect to insurance. Staff note that escalating insurance cost pressures are one of the main drivers behind the operating budget increase of 4.4%. Can staff please confirm the percentage increase in insurance, the last year in which the insurance was tendered, and if we can go back out to tender now to attempt to reduce this increase? Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Pilarchio or Mr. Tifo? Who would? Mr. Tifo.
Yes, thank you. Two-pronged question. One, the percentage increase year over year, and the second one, when we last went to tender. In terms of the insurance and year-over-year increase, there's really two programs in effect at the county. One is our general municipal liability, and the second one is our social housing. In regards to our general municipal liability, the program went up about 7% year over year, which was significantly lower than the marketplace out there for municipal corporations. With respect to housing, unfortunately, due to incidents over the last number of years, typically fires, that type of stuff, our program more than doubled in terms of insurance. So that's that first part of your question. On the second part of your question about tendering, that is something that we've been actively considering as a management team, but not only alone, but with also our municipal partners within Lambton County to ascertain when would be a great opportunity to go back to the market. The concern with going back to the market on some of these products is, one, that it can get worse out in the market, and it's something that we've actually experienced over the last year with our social housing portfolio. But nonetheless, Councillor Dennis, the question is well taken. It's on the agenda for us. It's at the front of our burners, and we're keeping a close eye on it to ensure that costs are minimized in that area.
There was a Deputy Warden White.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. Page 5 of Section 4, just in regards to the contingencies and opportunities reserve. We have listed here a contribution amount of $1.78 million. Just a question to Mr. Pilarchio, and perhaps you can just expand on what this reserve is currently or has been used for over the past year, where it stands, and what any potential reduction in this contribution might present for opportunities this coming year, or shifting of monies from this reserve towards another project in order to reduce the percentage that we're asking for this budget.
Mr. Pilarchio, please.
Thank you for the question, the opportunity to expand and explain this particular reserve. The economic opportunities and contingency reserve is, I believe, what the councillor is asking about. Right now in the 2024 budget, the ending balance projected is approximately $3.5 million. As on this page, you'll see that we've included a contribution of approximately $1.78 million as part of a council directive to include 2% of prior year's tax levy. We've utilized the reserve for primarily economic opportunities, such as the acquisition of potential corporate facilities that County Council is fairly aware of that happened in 2023. So there's a significant draw that we're anticipating on this particular reserve. The balance in that reserve is approximately about $10 million at the start of the year, and now has gone down to approximately $3.5 million. We've also taken a draw of approximately $940,000, I think, to mitigate our tax rate growth for 2024. So that particular reserve balance is basically low when it comes to stabilizing, and there could be any sharp increases, loss of funding, unanticipated costs. There's all sorts of things that could happen in a year, and it's there for those contingency-related issues. So I hope that answers the question.
Any other questions? Councillor Bradley, please.
Recognizing it hasn't been announced yet, when will that huge draw on that fund be public, in the sense of the project itself, where the money is going? It's been months now.
Mr. Pilarchio, please. Or Ms. Leger.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Bradley. Through the warden, staff will be returning to council when that comes to fruition, and we anticipate returning to council in closed session in April.
Anything further? Councillor Loosely.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. Just a comment. This will be the third year that we do not financially support our local hospital, but continue to contribute $105,000 to Strathroy. I also have a problem picking one hospital over another outside our jurisdiction, and I still feel the health and well-being of our residents should be one of our priorities. Thank you.
So there's no question directed there. I'll ask if anybody wants to comment on that. If not, I'll move on to any other questions. Any other questions before we move on to tab 5? So tab 5, please. Seeing no questions, tab 6, corporate services. Seeing no concerns, I'll move on to tab 7, which is finance, facilities, and court services. Deputy Warden White, please.
Excuse me. Thank you, Warden Marriott. Just maybe it's a matter of housekeeping. Page 13 in section 7. It's in regards to the title on the top is building other premises. It's in regards to maintenance on the what's listed as Access Open Mines building. For those unfamiliar, it's the corner of Lockheil and Front Street. It's actually called Youth Wellness Hubs Ontario now. I just wonder if it's a contractual reason why it's listed as Access Open Mines, or if we should just eliminate any confusion and change that to Youth Wellness Hubs Ontario.
Mr. Tifo, would you like to answer?
Yes, thank you, Warden Marriott. Thank you, Councillor White, for pointing that out. Yes, effectively the reference there is just sort of a reminder, a pinpointer for us, but point well taken. And effectively that's our building at the corner of Front and Lockheil.
Any other questions for tab 7? Move on to tab 8, which is infrastructure and development services. Deputy Warden White.
Thank you. Just a general question in regards to winter maintenance. We've had a fairly warm winter. Are there any opportunities to reduce the expected contribution based on what we've already seen in January and February? Is there potential savings in there to bring our number down just slightly to reflect the actual usage for this winter?
Mr. Cole or Mr. Pilarchio, who would like to?
Through the warden to Deputy Warden White. Yes, we have enjoyed some unseasonably warm weather through the past month, and that has benefited us greatly. We did take a look at both our January and February numbers. I was reminded by our operations people that we had 10 solid days of just constant battering in January. We are very over in January. We are very under in February. Right now, we are sitting at about $100,000 more than our budgeted allocation for those 2 months. So thanks, it was a good question.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Any other questions or comments on tab 8? Councillor Agar.
Thank you. Are all your projects doable for this year?
Mr. Cole, please.
I said, are all your projects that are on the books doable for this year?
Mr. Cole, please.
Through the warden, to Councillor Agar, we always try to put together a realistic project set based on our resources available, which includes our internal staff. We inevitably always have projects that are carried over, so we have a number of projects that are carried over from last year to this year that we plan on completing quickly and early. And then there may be projects that are carried over next year, but we have assigned a project workload that we think is doable and accomplishable if everything goes smoothly and we're able to address everything needed.
Okay, anything else for tab 8? Seeing none, we'll move on to number 9, Public Health Services Division. Councillor Bradley.
Just an obvious question with all the media reports about measles outbreaks across the country and North America. Where is the health unit at as it relates to dealing with those issues?
Mr. Taylor, please.
Through you, Warden Marriott, Councillor Bradley, thank you for the question. Yes, as you've known, there's significant increases in concerns for measles. And we have our medical officer of health here. If council's desire, she can give a short update around what we're doing in this community to keep the stakeholders and community made aware.
I think I would appreciate it. Is there going to be any budget impacts if you have to ramp up your game on vaccinations like you had to in the past?
Dr. Dewick.
Yeah, so with respect to the question as about budget impacts, maybe what I will say that, yeah, this budget anticipates us dealing with any diseases of public health significance. And obviously we have mechanisms should anything overwhelm our resources where we could activate that and apply for funding as needed. But we are prepared for those emergencies, if you will. And I'll let Dr. Dewick just give an update on the measles.
Dr. Dewick, please.
Thank you. Through you, Warden, to Councillor Bradley. So measles, generally speaking, is highly, highly contagious. The most highly contagious virus, essentially. And so you do need a high population coverage of measles vaccination or immunity to prevent transmission. As such, this year we are enforcing the Immunization of School Pupils Act. We have very good population coverage among our school children, so that is comforting in terms of preventing transmission. And until now, most measles cases that come to Ontario are imported. We have seen in York Region that there was an individual who was fully vaccinated and it was not travel related. And so our Chief Medical Officer of Health for Ontario has asked all health units to alert our healthcare providers to be prepared. As such, a memo went out at the end of February to all of the healthcare providers detailing the ways that we will be prepared to prevent measles and ensure that if there are any suspect or confirmed measles cases, that they're contained.
Thank you, Dr. Dewick. Any other questions for tab 9, Public Health? Councillor Hand, please.
Just a question related to vaccinations. So the letters went out to all those school children that hadn't been vaccinated, and I think the deadline is approaching that they need to be done or they're out of school. Is one of those vaccinations measles that they could be behind on?
Dr. Tuick, please.
Through you, Warden, to Councillor Hand, yes. Thankfully, one of the viruses in the Immunization of School Pupils Act is measles.
Thank you. Anything further? Thank you, Dr. Duick. Moving on to tab 10, Social Services Division. Councillor Bean, please.
Thank you, Warden and members of County Council. I would like to make a motion that we reduce the funding for affordable housing from 1.1 million to 500,000. And that would still leave us around $2.7, $2.8 million in that fund. So I would like to make that motion, and hopefully I have a seconder.
We have a seconder?
I will second that, Mr. Warden.
Okay. Councillor Bradley.
I'm certainly going to be opposing the motion. We've come a long way in the last couple of years of one identifying the issue, getting this group unanimously in the last number of months to support that this is our #1 priority, housing and shelter. And even though I'm not comfortable with the outcome on the budget number on the levy, it's an investment straight back into our communities to deal with people that need shelter. And again, I applaud the county for the steps in the last year that have made a huge difference. And I'd also invite, I was going to do under new business, next Wednesday in Sarnia, I'll send something out later today when it's confirmed, we'll be having an announcement on funding from the province on housing. And I think part of it, and I've also been dealing with the federal government, is the steps they're seeing that's being taken to substantially deal with some of the big issues related to housing. So I think this would be a very backward motion to support, in that it will pull us back from what I think has been a very bold step to reinvest in people in this county.
First, I have Deputy Warden White and then Councillor Bean.
Excuse me, thank you, Warden Marriott. Agree with Councillor Bradley 100%. And, you know, when there was discussion not a few moments ago about not funding hospitals, I look to what our core responsibility is here as a municipality, and unfortunately hospitals don't fall under that responsibility. And if we're considering the overall health and well-being of our community, we have to look to our core services, and we have to look to the fundamental responsibility we have to ensure that folks have every opportunity to be healthy, which includes having a place to live. For 30 plus years, upper levels of government have not funded housing. And this is why we are in the deficit that we are in now across the country, and we're feeling it here locally. And I've said it for years. Sometime we're going to have to just stop waiting for matching funds, although it's what we should be doing, and fund this ourselves. Is that what we're doing? Not exactly. We are taking a bold step, though, and we are making this a priority. This is a core fundamental human right, and we are taking the responsibility for it finally as a county, and I think we're doing a great job.
Councillor Bean.
Thank you, Warden. I understand that this is an important issue, but I also understand that somewhere along the line we have to make a cut. And this is a small cut, this is a small concession. And some of the senior citizens, I mean, somewhere along the line, we have to make a cut. People can't afford to keep going the way they're going with you know, the Ontario government raising taxes and the federal government raising taxes like they have on fuel and whatnot. It's one thing right after another. And somewhere along the line, we have to be fiscally responsible, and we have to somehow make this budget come down at least by 1% or 1.5%.
Have Councillor Dennis and then Councillor Hand.
Thank you very much. What troubles me so much is we are getting generations of people reliant on government. If we provide them everything they need to survive, what incentive is there for them to get their lives together and get a job? It's like we're taking care of these people from the cradle to the grave. And when providing people with affordable housing, I don't mind helping people that are the working poor. They're in that position because of no fault of their own. They have 2, 3 jobs. It's very, very wrong in this country when people are working 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, and they still have to use the food bank. I totally understand that. But for the life of me, am sick and tired of people playing the system. They're sleeping on the streets. They have no one to blame but themselves. I'm tired of paying for bad decisions. And this is nothing but a political football. This is nothing about, I have a big heart, this is wrong. These places that we're building for people, they're going to be a massive eyesore in 15 years. And as a former realtor, I know exactly what they're going to look like in 15 years too, as well, as far as the insides are concerned. People talk about having them in different parts of the city, different parts of the county. The people that work hard and pay the taxes, they're not going to want these places beside their homes. Like, let's be brutally honest about it. There's not one person here that's honest about it would want them beside their homes. So the thing is we never started this, we never caused this problem. It was upper levels of government that caused this problem. And it's never been this bad before. And the fact of the matter is these things don't appear by themselves. It costs somebody money, and the middle class is footing the bill like they always do, and they are being dragged down. Thank you.
We have Councillor Hand next.
I just had another suggestion, but I don't know, you might want to deal with that motion first, but my thought was if we could find $894,000 from reserves, and that's 1%, and then that takes it off the taxes, that impacts all of our residents. But I had focused on opportunities and contingencies and looking at this as an opportunity, but that reserve is taking a large hit. So if there was another suggestion of a reserve for 1% towards this housing.
Okay, like you say, that would be a discussion after this motion. Councillor Case, you had your hand up, and then Councillor Ferguson.
Yes, Mr. Warden, through you. You've heard me say it before, this is a social and economic balance that we have to try to see through. But at the end of the day, this is our responsibility. These problems, these issues, no matter where they were created, and no matter how much funding we get from the feds or from the provincial government, this does fall on our desks to deal with. This is our responsibility to deal with. I'm like everybody else. I'd love to sit here today and say that, we don't need to put any extra money into this particular item. But the reality is this is not just a Sarnia-Lambton problem. This is a problem throughout the whole country, through North America, throughout the world. So I just want to be very clear that I do take this responsibility very seriously. And I guess I would like maybe some clarification on Councillor Veen's motion. So that was the extra money that was to be put into the motion, that was suggested that we put into the budget, Councillor Veen, so that was that $1 million, $1.1 million. Just if I could get some clarity of what exactly we're talking, is he suggesting, I think, that you put in an extra, instead of putting 1.1 in, or whatever the number was that would be in it, 500,000. So if I could get clarification, I'd appreciate it, Mr. Warden.
Sure, and if Councillor Veen wants to clarify that, I think that's exactly what he was referring to, but I'll let him speak to that.
Thank you, Warden. I was actually going to put 600,000 in and take 500,000 out. And I know it's a small concession, but we're already on tab 10 and we haven't made any cuts yet. So I don't know where you're going to make the rest of the cuts, but somehow we have to make some sort of a cut on this budget. So that's why I've made this motion.
Okay, Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you. Just a couple of remarks. So fiscally, I do agree with Mr. Beans and Mr. Councillor Dennis, but ideologically, I agree with putting the $1.1 million in. I agree with Councillor Case. The other part is the money saved in the other services when you get people in housing. What money is saved which we don't see out of budget, or at the hospital and police when people not having to tow and take those services and we're not expenditure that area. The other part is that ongoing projects, please do remember there is people from 21 Highway, the border, and east in the county. So perhaps other projects could be looked at in the east part of the county moving ahead. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Dennis.
Again, I just want to emphasize to everybody, and again, you all live in beautiful, beautiful communities. What's happening is Sarnia is becoming the Flint, Michigan of Ontario. Many of the citizens in your communities that have fallen on rough times are coming into Sarnia because that's where all the social services are. Violent crime is up substantially in Sarnia. Our police are worked off their feet. People are leaving our community. They're moving to beautiful areas like Corunna, Plimpton, Wyoming, Lambton Shores Forest. They're moving to Petrolia, a community that has very little crime. Our city is dying a slow death. And again, I don't mean to be the bad guy by saying this. I'm just speaking the truth, the unvarnished truth. We simply are being overrun. I sent Valerie an email from residents that live on Melrose Drive, right across from that center that we set up. The residents are furious about the behavior of the people that use that place. We are inundated with complaints. I just got an email from a gentleman this morning about the homeless shelters or homeless tents on Rainbow Park. In Ottawa, there was a toddler that was sent to the hospital because she had a syringe that she put in her mouth. Like this is a problem. I realize it's a problem all over the place, but this is my community. I'm a third generation Sarnian. I can't watch any longer my city go down the toilet the way it has been. And many people think just like me. Maybe they're not as vocal about it, okay. But I can't go on any longer, watch my city deteriorate like this.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Thank you for
okay,
now.
right on my, okay, yeah. Thank you, yeah.
Councillor Agar?
Yeah, thank you, Warden. Oh, usually I'm loud enough, I don't need it. You know what, I've been pondering this for a long time too, and we all feel bad either way. Councillor Veen, you have a good idea, and Councillor Bradley, you have a good idea. Everybody has good ideas. I'm just kind of wondering if we could take the 6, hold back 5 we're going to put in reserves, put that in so we still get the 1.1 on that deal, but it's not going all against the budget, so we can save some on the budget too.
Okay, so that would be a separate motion.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking the question first.
Sure.
I would make that motion when it's done, but
okay.
I just want to see if it's feasible.
Councillor Bradley, did you have one more before I call the vote? I think we're getting close to.
Yeah, certainly, Mr. Warden, thank you for that. Let's recall what we're talking about. First of all, the city of Sarnia in Lambton County since 1991, or the city of Sarnia since the 50s and 60s, has been in the housing business. Over 1,100 units came over to Lambton County in 1991. So this is not new to us. What you're doing, which I commend, is you're renewing the assets. You're putting money back in to support people. And forget about the other language used here. We're talking about human beings living in homes who we're trying to give a chance to move forward. And anyone, and many people in this room have been involved in the Circles program, where you see the benefits of bringing people together who are in housing situations and poverty situations and giving them a passport to a better future. So this to me is a bold step, and I can say to you, if you need to find that money, if you were to squeeze through the roads budget and some of the other budgets, you could find that. This is directly back to people, and it's something that we've been doing for decades in Lambton County, and here's a chance to take it to a higher level. This is the time to do it.
Okay, thank you, and I think, Councillor Loosely, you had, and then Councillor Pace after that.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. I think I want to remind County Council now, we're not taking it all out, we're just taking some of it out. I also want to make a statement regarding, I hear it's not the hospitals aren't our mandate, but yet why are we then giving Strathroy $105,000 for 10 years? And I'll leave it at that. But I think we need to cut somewhere. I have a problem with a 5.5% increase at these difficult times. I really like Councillor Hand's idea about taking out a reserve. I could live with even that, but I'd like to get it under 5%. Thank you.
Councillor Case?
Yes, Mr. Warden, through you. in listening to Councillor Dennis's comments, and I understand he has great passion when it comes to this and has a very big opinion on this. I guess my question to Councillor Dennis would be, if we do nothing and we don't add in the extra funding, isn't that going to make the problem potentially even worse at the end of the day? I mean, it is a very big ticket item when it comes to the price tag, but at the same time, if we don't do anything, are we not just turning our back on the problem? And by not putting extra funding in there of any kind, aren't we really, at the end of the day, maybe making that problem even bigger? It's a real issue. It's everywhere, as it's been pointed out here before by everybody here, pretty much on the floor today. So I guess that's my question. If we don't do anything, and we just continue to do the status quo, not put the extra funds in, at the end of the day, does that actually work in a reverse fashion? You know, Councillor Ferguson mentioned the police costs and so on will rise, and we're dealing with more issues. So again, that's my question. We all struggle with the budget. It's a big number. But at the end of the day, I guess that's my question. Mr. Warden, back through you to Councillor Dennis, if I could.
Councillor Dennis, you have your hand up.
Thank you. To Councillor Case, I understand what he's saying. Sarnia at one time used to be the heartbeat of southwestern Ontario. Today it's a murmur. And there's no question a lot of our problems have been self-inflicted. Every one of you has grown. We've contracted. And a lot of it has been self-inflicted by poor policy, poor leadership. And we could have grown when everybody else was growing. And we could have attracted businesses when everybody else was attracting businesses. And the best social program is a job and all that kind of stuff. We have our best and brightest are leaving and they're not coming back. But the fact of the matter is people are moving out of our city. They're not coming into our city because they're afraid. They're afraid that we have seniors that are afraid to leave their houses at nighttime to go for walks. We have American-style drive-by gangland shootings in Sarnia. It won't be too long before we have carjackings. This is serious stuff. And I do, personally, as a citizen, I've had people coming up to me. We don't want vagrants in our city anymore. We never did want them. It's unbelievable to read that we have gunshot shootings left, right, and center, just like you'd see in an American city. This is Sarnia, Ontario, a 70,000 person city in Lambton County, and this is what we're experiencing. It's madness, and people don't want to put up with it anymore. They come to me because they know I don't have a filter, so they know I'll talk about this sort of thing. And I'm not going to bleed on and talk, oh, they're human beings. No, they're slime. And I don't care. I don't care about being better.
Okay, so I'll ask, I think Councillor McRoberts and then Councillor Case wanted, and then we're gonna, okay, Councillor McRoberts, please.
Through the warden, Councillor Case asked a question, and I understand that Councillor Dennis wanted to share his feelings, but he's not giving the resolution to what he was asked. If you could get a response.
I think we should call the vote on this. I think we've discussed it more than enough.
And record the vote, Mr. Warden. Thank you.
Councillor Lucy, I'll give you the last word.
I just want to request a recorded vote. Thank you.
Okay, recorded vote's been requested. Oh, and we'd like clarification, I guess, one more time from Councillor Bean on the motion as far as the actual dollars.
The motion is that we reduce the 1.1 million that's in...
It's actually 1.0.
Okay, reduce it by $500,000.
Okay, we're good. Random indicator.
Okay, so a recorded vote was requested by Councillor Loosely, and we will begin with Councillor Hand, please. I have a no. Councillor Loosely?
Yes.
I have a yes. Councillor McRoberts? No. I have a no. Councillor Miller? I have a no. No. Counselor Sageman? No. I have a no. Counselor Veen? Yes. I have a yes. Deputy Warden White? No. I have a no. Counselor Agar? I have a no. I have a no. Counselor McEwen? No. I have a no. Counselor Bushi? No. I have a no. Counselor Bradley? No. I have a no. Counselor Broad? No. I have a no. Counselor Case? No. I have a no. Counselor Cook? No. I have a no. Counselor Dennis? Yes. I have a yes. Counselor Ferguson? No. I have a no. Warden Marriott?
No.
I have a no. That motion is defeated.
And Counselor Agar, you have a motion?
Hey, like I said, I've been listening to all this, and I feel for everybody. I feel for them on the street. I feel for the aged people that have to pay their taxes, because I have to pay my taxes. So I think we can come with a compromise here and take the 500 and the other 500 spend out of reserves, or what we're putting into reserves, so it tops up at the $1 million. That's my motion.
Okay, seconded by Counselor Han? No? Okay, so would you have a seconder?
Sorry.
Counselor Dennis. Counselor Han, you want to comment?
Well, earlier I had suggested that I would like to bring a motion forward to take the 1% from reserves so that we still have the $1 million, and the 1% comes off the taxes. And I still feel with the investment in housing, we're saving in other areas. And I know reserves are important, but I think this way we could still put the extra money in there and find it from reserves.
So that would be another motion.
Yes, 894,000.
Okay. Counselor Broad.
Thanks, Warden Marriott. I guess I need to know what reserve. Like, we're saying we're going to pull out a reserve. Where are we talking about? What reserve are we pulling out?
Mr. Pilarchio, could you answer that, please?
Certainly, through the warden, just a real high-level highlights on reserve funds. Basically, as I mentioned, $80 million to $60 million is a significant drop in our reserve fund levels. We've actually withdrawn more than we've contributed to reserves. As far as specific reserves, the Economic Opportunities Contingency and Stabilization Reserve is the only reserve that's really applicable to this situation. That reserve is extremely, I would consider low, especially if you're dealing with, contingency type related situations. I fully understand the debate that the County Council is going through. We struggle with the tax rate increases. No one wants inflation at, that 6.8% level, and you've seen a chart there, what CPI increases were in our presentation. And just to, our tax rate increases over the last 4 years have been significantly below CPI. It's just another point to bring home, noting that, I fully appreciate and understand the dialogue and debate that's going on.
Okay. Where was I? Any other comments, questions? Councillor Dennis.
Thank you. Have you folks taken into consideration over long term what it's going to cost to maintain this affordable housing? Because I can tell you, it will be much more expensive to maintain these homes than it would be a normal home. People won't take care of these homes, then the tenants or the owners will not take care of these homes like we would take care of our own. The graffiti, the way that they're going to be lived in hard, the condition of the interiors, smoky interiors, they'll be treated very, very rough. And, natural maintenance like replacing roofs and furnaces and all that kind of jazz, that's part of the game. But these places will be, they'll be hard lived in, that's saying politely. Is it anyone ever
I'll ask if Ms. Colasani wants to comment, or Mr. Tifo, who would like to tackle that? Ms. Colasani, please.
Through you, Warden, to Councillor Dennis. We've not done exact financials yet on what these units would cost because we're still not sure exactly the size of them and the units. But you're right, we do have a capital repairs budget right now. We know there would be a slight increase to that. We do maintain the buildings on a regular basis. We're also hoping that we receive provincial dollars from the homeless prevention program. And right now, significant funds are going to fund the emergency shelter, the out of the cold shelter. So some of those dollars would be able to be diverted back into the housing budget. So while there may be an increase, we're also looking at various prototypes. We may have some units at market rates that will assist to offset those costs. So there's a number of things that we can do, and we'll bring that information back.
Ms. Galasani, please, could you hear the question?
Through you, Warden, to Councillor Dennis. Could you repeat the question, please?
Have you ever toured any before yourself that the county currently has?
Ms. Galasani.
Yes, actually, late last year, we took a tour and a number of councillors here joined us, and we went through quite a number of the housing stock. And most recently, we took our federal program managers through Maxwell Park Place, the original one, and they noted that it was one of the nicest social housing buildings they'd seen on their tour across the province. So we would invite you to come and visit many of our buildings. We could do that anytime. Through the warden to Councillor Dennis, we have a variety of buildings. Maxwell Park Place, you're correct, is mostly seniors, but many of our other buildings are family units or single younger individuals, and we'd be happy to tour you through any of those.
I've pretty much seen every place in town, and I don't have a license anymore, but I could show you some real dandies, that's for sure. So, but anyways, that's for another time. Thank you.
Okay, so I have Deputy Warden White and then Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you. I have a point to make and then a question. It's my second term on County Council, and I've had the privilege of touring the county's facilities now twice, because those opportunities are offered to us. If those of us choose to tour them, the opportunities are actually there, so you don't have to rely on conjecture. You can actually speak with facts. And I appreciate staff for providing those opportunities for us. In terms of supportive housing, could we just maybe have a brief refresher of what the concept of supportive is as well, so that we can get an image of what those facilities may look like, both in the interim or upon build, and hopefully as time progresses. Let's talk about the concept of supportive housing, teaching life skills and supporting individuals.
Ms. Colasani, would you be able to answer that, please?
Through you, Warden, to Councillor White. In the Flourish proposal that was presented to Council at the last committee, they're recommending 3 types of supportive housing. The first type is specialized supports, and those would be the highest level of supports, and we'd be recommending a small number of units for that program. And these would be, they would have nurses, they would have professionals, including social workers, addiction and mental health counselors, and the staff would be on site 24/7. The next level of supports is our enhanced supports, and these were the supports that we were recommending for some of the builds and the 5 new builds that are coming out. The enhanced program provides support similar to the specialized supports, but it's delivered to a higher number of individuals, and they don't need as many supports, and they may over time need fewer and fewer supports, but they would start using, again, social workers, addiction workers, mental health counselors, some basic life skills, as Councillor White mentioned. And then the other type of supports are called standard supports, and these are provided presently by our community support workers in partnership with other community partners like CMHA, Rebound. They provide supports in some units. So these would vary. Individuals might need some life skills. They might just need help with budgeting, with shopping, a little bit of supports. They may be hoarding, and we can work with them on those. So community support workers go into units scattered throughout Lambton County, both owned by the county and those owned by our nonprofits, as well as private landlords. So those supports are available for anyone who's at risk of losing their tenancy. So those are the main 3 types of supportive housing that we would be looking at bringing in.
I have Councillor Ferguson and then Councillor Dennis.
Thank you. I agree with both sides on what can happen with some of the units. The staff needs to be commended on the phenomenal job they do with these units. And when we done the tour, I did see pride of ownership in quite a number of units, but yes, there are some that are not what I would like to see up to date. But I can drive through private yards all through Lambton County and find somebody to do one also and say, hey, can we clean this up? So it's not just there. It can happen everywhere. But again, there is pride of ownership in a lot of those units in there. You take people that have a beginning job, and it could be a lower wage at the minimum wage. You take out now, if I go into Alvis and even and take a look at what the units are renting out now for new units on the ground, a single person with a minimum wage can't afford to get into a single unit on their own. This helps those people. We need it. Because the other part is, and it's been talked about twice, is people on the street, the cost of services to look after them there. So I have to look at the whole picture. Everybody does have pride of ownership. They're in varying degrees, whether it's private or in the units. But I really enjoyed the tour, and staff should be commended. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Dennis. And then Councillor Boucher.
Thank you very much. There's an old joke about the pharmaceutical industry that they don't really want to heal people, because if they healed people, they would be out of business. Which you named off about the services for those that are, in a disadvantaged system. It seems like there's a lot of money in the poverty business. Like there's a lot of jobs, a lot of incomes, livelihoods dependent on dealing with those that are down on their luck. It just seems like I don't think we're ever going to eliminate poverty, because there's so many livelihoods depending on people down on their luck. Like I say, my concern, and I'll go back to my opening statement really, but really at the end of the day, we really should be getting people prepared to get back into the world and make them productive citizens so they can get on. Government shouldn't be holding their hand through their whole life and relying on government. That's not how that's not how life should be. So, but anyways, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Councillor Boucher is next.
Just a comment. I'm surprised at this motion, and I'm surprised at previous motion, and I am surprised at all the discussion that took place. I think we have a proud community in Sarnia and the county. We have worked hard. We have discussed it all year round and previous years, and we realized we need to spend money for housing. And as I say again, I'm proud of the community of Sarnia and Lambton County, and let's move on with it. Thank you.
Okay, I think we will call the vote here. Councillor Agar. Okay, and clerk would like you to repeat the motion. Oh, sorry. Ms. Leger will.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. So as I understand it, the motion on the floor moved by Councillor Agar, seconded by Councillor Dennis, and requested recorded vote by Councillor Agar, is that 500,000 of the 3 million contribution to the Affordable Housing Reserve be drawn from the Economic and Opportunity Contingency Reserve, and that the remaining 2.5 million contribution into the Affordable Housing Reserve will be funded through taxation.
That has the million comes off and it all goes into that too. That's okay. Yep.
Okay. Councillor Hand, you had your hand up as I called the vote.
Sorry, I was just going to ask if Councillor Agar would be willing to amend his motion to take the 1%, the 894 from reserves rather than the 500? No. Okay, thank you.
Okay, proceed, please. Ms. Leger, please.
So recorded vote, starting with Councillor Dennis. I have a yes. Councillor Ferguson? No. I have a no. Councillor Hand? No. I have a no. Councillor Loosely?
Yes.
I have a yes. Councillor McRoberts? No. I have a no. Councillor Miller? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Sageman? No. I have a no. Councillor Veen? Yes. I have a yes. Deputy Warden White? No. I have a no. Councillor Agar? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor McEwen? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Bouchy? No. I have a no. Councillor Bradley? No. I have a no. Councillor Broad? No. I have a no. Councillor Case? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Cook? I have a no. And apologies, Warden Marriott.
Yes.
I have a yes. That motion is defeated.
Okay, Councillor Hand, you have a motion.
So, yes, I'd like to make a motion that we take $894,000, the value of 1% of the budget from reserves to lessen the overall impact and still be able to contribute the amount that was suggested.
Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor McRoberts seconds. Discussion? Councillor Bradley, yes.
Yeah, just a question of the treasurer. What does that do to the levy increase?
Mr. Pilarchio, please.
Well, if you're going to take $894,000 from reserves, it's going to reduce the levy by 1%. It's a less of a contribution to the way I look at the economic opportunities and contingency reserve.
Therefore, it would be 4.5 if that motion passed.
Correct.
Just to clarify, any other questions, comments? Councillor Ferguson, please.
We've talked about shifting money back and forth, and my question is, how does this really differ from the other motions on the floor?
Would you like to answer that, Mr. Pilarchio?
Again, at a really high level, basically the variety of options were looked at reserve funds, whether we contribute less into affordable housing or contribute less into economic contingency stabilization. But it all comes down to the projected final balance, like 80 million to 60 million, 80 million to 59 million. It's tweaking that that ending balance, and reserve funds are low, as I've mentioned several times.
Okay, I have Councillor Agar and then Deputy Warden White.
What I was just trying to go through was we were actually putting $500,000 off the levy, so our tax would have been 5%, and we were only taking $500,000 out of reserves. Now we're going to be taking $1 million out of reserves. Like, we're still out ahead at $500,000 in my mind. It's just a comment. Thank you.
Okay, Deputy Warden White and then Councillor Case.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. Mr. Pilarchio, just why I asked this question 9 tabs ago, I guess. When we look at this particular reserve and we forecast this coming year, in your opinion, given some of the stuff that we know is coming towards us, and some of this council is aware, Councillor Bradley alluded to it earlier, stuff that isn't made public yet, but we're all aware, at least at this horseshoe, of what's coming down the pipe. Is there a good chance that this reserve could be completely wiped out by the end of this year, given some of the opportunities that are before us?
Mr. Pilarchio, please.
Through the warden, I'd be very cautious to reduce that balance any further. We don't know what's going to happen in 2024, right? As far as funding that may no longer be available for certain programs. There's contingencies that happen all the time, and again, I'd be very very cautious to reduce this even further. And the one thing I really want to stress is that there was one slide that I talked about an amortization reserve, because there was a lot of discussion about the affordable housing piece and so forth. But in our, we did a lot of work in order to build up our amortization reserves, particularly for our roads and bridges programs. And we basically froze that contribution this year in recognition of the significant tax rate pressures that are not only here in this community, but in communities across Ontario. London's at 8.7, they're predicting 8.9 next year. Oxford, double digits. There's some significant pressures, and we've done, as from an administration's point of view, we've contained our contributions as much as we can. So to the councillor's question, I'd be very concerned about reducing reserve funds to a significant amount, but I do understand the tweaks.
Follow up, Deputy Warden?
Thank you. And I highlighted this one because to be fair, I walked in here today proposing, prepared to propose $1 million off this exact reserve. But we had a conversation and several of my colleagues over the last few days about what it would really mean for this coming year, and I changed my mind. But I guess my question to follow up is, if we don't contribute today to this reserve, and these opportunities present themselves, or in some cases the unforeseen, and we require the contingencies, where would the money come from?
Mr. Pilarchio, please.
A great question. Because if you don't have the money in your savings account, there's that other alternate source of funding, which it's either a levy, secondary levy increase, which you don't want to do, and you don't want to go towards debt financing, because it's you got some significant interest rates out there. So they're the cushions to those unexpected events. You talked about alternate sources of funding. Debt is always an option if it's an applicable project or program that you can debt finance.
Councillor Case, you had your hand up.
Yes, Mr. Warden, through you. My concern is we're going to be sitting here next year at our next budget deliberation, and our treasurer is going to come to us and say, we need to feed our reserve fund. It's depleted, or it's next to being depleted. I mean, and then we're sitting here right here again, and now we're talking about utilizing taxpayers' monies to go back into a reserve that we already have today. That's my concern, and that's why I was willing to support Councillor Ager's motion to take $500,000 out of the reserve. As much as I know that Councillor Hand and everybody else is trying to find a solution to be able to fund this very needed piece of business when it comes to housing, I can't help but sit here and think that this is simple mathematics. We take it this year, and next year is probably not going to be any easier from a budget standpoint. In all honesty, the economy is not pointing to rapid changes. It looks like it'll be pretty much status quo, hopefully with some changes. So that's my concern, to take that much money out of a budget, which is already not at a real healthy stage, and then to be sitting here next year and going through it again. We're going to be going back, and we're going to be saying, okay, now we got to put $1.5 million back into this reserve. So that's just the point I wanted to make. And that, again, I'll make the point, that's why I was willing to support Councillor Ager's motion to take half of that out of there. But I'm sure not going to support taking the whole entire amount out of the reserve. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments before I call the question? Councillor Loosley.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. It's just a comment. 5 years ago, we were at 39 to 40 million. We're now at 80 million, and I know we're drawing money out. So in 5 years, we've doubled our reserve, which I think is reasonable. My concern is, when is enough enough? I hear this all the time, we need more money for reserve. I will support this because I think we should bring it down, our increase under 5.5%. I think this is reasonable. Thank you.
Okay, I think we should call the question here. Was there a request for a recorded vote or not? There was. Okay, by Councillor Hand? Okay.
So I will just repeat the motion as I understand it. So it's been moved by Councillor Hand, seconded by Councillor McRoberts, a requested recorded vote by Councillor Hand, that 894,000 of the 3 million contribution to the Affordable Housing Reserve be drawn from the Economic and Opportunity Contingency Reserve, and that the remaining amount will be funded through taxation so that the tax levy be decreased by 1% as a result.
Thank you, and we'll wait for the cue. Looks like Councillor Broad.
And the recorded vote will start at Councillor Broad, please. I have a no. Councillor Case? No. I have a no. Councillor Cook? No. I have a no. Councillor Dennis? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Ferguson? No. I have a no. Councillor Hand? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Loosely?
Yes.
I have a yes. Councillor McRoberts? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Miller? No. I have a no. Councillor Sageman? No. I have a no. Councillor Veen? Yes. I have a yes. Deputy Warden White? No. I have a no. Councillor Agar? No. I have a no. Councillor McEwen? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Bouchy? No. I have a no. Councillor Bradley? No. I have a no. Warden Marriott? No. I have a no. That motion is defeated.
Okay, we have 3 motions on this tab. Is there any other questions, comments, or motions before we move on? I think maybe we've exhausted all options. Seeing none, I'd move on to tab 11, Long-Term Care Division. Seeing no questions, we'll move on to tab 12, Cultural Services. No questions there. Tab 13, non-tangible capital assets. Seeing no questions, tab 14, Reserve Index. Seeing no questions or comments for tab 14. That brings us to the end of the tabs. Are we ready for Councillor Bushi? Are you making a motion, Councillor Bushi, to pass the budget as it stands? Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ferguson? Discussion on that. Councillor Bradley?
Question to the CAO. If there was a motion to, say, cut $500,000 right across the organization as it relates to unnecessary spending, travel, conventions, and all that, I would not put that forward unless I thought it was feasible and would have a positive impact on where we're going. Any thoughts on such a cut to the overall budget right across the board?
Mr. Tifo, please.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Bradley. If I understand the question correctly, is that if there's merit for a broad stroke $500,000 cut throughout the budget focused on travel and continuing education. And when we put this budget together, we of course we did so with the full intent of keeping it as low as possible. We did look at those expenses as well. So I don't see ultimately $500,000 in this budget from those lines. And that being said, however, the commitment is always for the organization to reduce expenses where it can on discretionary expenses. But reacting to the question as I stand here at this point in time, I do not see throughout the corporation necessarily an immediate $500,000 savings in that area.
Any other comments on the motion on the floor? Going once? Yeah, I'm just making sure there's no comments. So we have a request for recorded vote. Last call for comments, questions. I'll turn it over to the random indicator, please. Sure. Ms. Leger, please.
So the motion on the floor moved by Councillor Bushi, seconded by Councillor Ferguson, and a requested recorded vote by Councillor Bradley is that the 2024 budget be approved as revised during today's deliberations. 5.5.
And it looks like Deputy Warden White wins the draw. Ms. Leger, please.
Deputy Warden White. Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Agar? No. I have a no. Councillor McEwen? No. I have a no. Councillor Bushi? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Bradley? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Broad? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Case? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Cook? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Dennis? No. I have a no. Councillor Ferguson? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Hand? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Loosely? No. I have a no. Councillor McRoberts? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Miller? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Sageman? Yes. I have a yes. Councillor Veen? No. I have a no. Warden Marriott? Yes. I have a yes. That motion passes.
That brings us to item number 10, reports requiring a motion. We have item A, Social Services Division, a report dated March the 6th, 2024 regarding supportive housing partnership. Councillor Bradley moves to, and Deputy Warden White seconds. Any discussion? Deputy Warden White.
Yeah, can I just get just a bird's eye view of what that relationship would look like, please? How does that work?
Sure. Ms. Kalasani, please.
Certainly. Through you, Warden, to Councillor White. What we're hoping is that a company who's involved in providing supportive housing would come on with us to start assisting us in developing the 5 builds that we're looking at. There are some very specific design features that we would want to put into any type of supportive housing. It makes sense to have the individuals who are going to be working in the building help with those designs. So that would be part of it. It would also be to assist with advocacy, fundraising, those types of things, as fundraising from the province is what I mean. We would need dollars from the Ministry of Health. We would need dollars from the Ministry of Housing. So to assist with that work as well.
Follow up?
Yeah, so just to clarify, experts in the field with experience to help gap fill the knowledge and experience of county staff, correct?
Ms. Caldesani?
That's correct. And then they would be ideally providing those supports once the build is complete.
Any other questions? Call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? That motion's carried. Item number 11, Committee of the Whole minutes of February the 21st. Motion to adopt those, please. Councillor Sageman and Councillor Miller. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. That brings us to item number 12, Notice of Bylaws. Ms. Leger, please. Oh, sorry, Councillor Broad.
I don't see any room in here for new business.
Actually, we do.
Oh, sorry.
But let's do it now. I had it
You're
down.
sure?
Yeah, let's do it now.
And I guess I'm asking County Council approval to include a time-sensitive issue into the other business, if that, since I didn't see it on the agenda here, if they would allow that. So.
Yeah, that's fine. I actually had wrote it in, but now is good, Councillor Broad.
Okay, thank you. For those on County Council that don't know, to the south of us, our friends at Chatham-Kent has a York One Environmental Waste Solutions has put in a request to the ministry on a 6,000 tons per day recycling facility. On their own submission, they claim that's up to 700 trucks a day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we've talked to Jason and the county staff. We have a huge concern down in Don Euphemia that dump is only 2 kilometers, 2.5 kilometers from our municipality. And an influx of trucks like that is just unfathomable at the end of the day. So just want to bring council up to speed with that. It is time sensitive because we have, I believe, up to March 16th to put a comment in. Maybe I can ask Jason to please take over maybe here and what the county staff has found out. And maybe more so, will they be putting a comment in under this ERO, the one of 2 that's out there today?
Mr. Cole, please.
Through the warden to Councillor Broad. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Broad. As you know, we have sat in some meetings to discuss the York One proposal in Chatham-Kent, and its proximity to our boundary and your own boundary is extremely concerning. An increase of the magnitude that they have identified within their amendment to the C of A that's been submitted through the Environmental Registry Ontario process contains very little detailed information, and even in the public sessions that have been presented, there's been very few answers as to detailed information about how the site is intended to operate. In addition to that, the York One has submitted, that first amendment is to dealing with a transfer station, recycling, construction waste, and organics of that type of nature. There is another application that's been submitted now for the waste disposal at that site, and there are existing approvals to do both of those operations at that site, just not to the magnitude that they are asking for this change. So the county, we are working with one of our consultants to provide an informed response through the Environmental Registry Ontario process. And we want to include Don Euphemia specifically in that response to make sure that your municipality knows exactly what we know. And I think at the very least, what we'll be requesting is for a more extended process. We cannot ask, or it is unlikely that we would get the province to ask for a full environmental assessment process, but we can ask for a more detailed process with more detailed information provided, and that is our target right now.
Councillor Broad, follow up.
Just follow up, and thanks, Jason, for that update. And this is just for the rest of County Council. I would recommend that everyone here take it back to their councils, or like it's only to the 16th, because 700 trucks a day, they're going to go right by. They could possibly go right out here on down 21 Highway down to Dresden. So that's going to affect Plimpton, Wyoming. It's going to affect Petrolia. It's going to affect Oil Springs. It's going to affect Enniskillen. It's going to affect Don Euphemia. If they decide to use 79, it could be Watford, Warwick, Brook, Elmston. We're all into this together, whether we know it or not. And the fact that there is such lack of information, can you imagine saying that you're going to bring 700 trucks a day in, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not even have a traffic study? Like, that is absolutely ludicrous that a company would bring that information forward. We deal with Enbridge all the time. Considerably smaller projects than this, we get full information on what's involved with it. This one here has been a total lack of information. And I think if every councillor here and mayor here should take it back or have their staff to at least put a comment in, something to the effect that this whole thing should be put on hold until the information starts flowing from York 1 to the ratepayers and the people around Dresden. They are totally dumbfounded when they go to a public meeting and they're not getting any answers. It's absolutely ludicrous what's going on there. So I urge everyone here to take it back to your staff. Individuals, by all means, every individual, and I urge every resident in Lambton County to go to the website and put your comments through, and let's at least get some information on this before this ever moves forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have Deputy Warden White, and then Councillor Case and Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, Ward Mayor. Just want to validate Councillor Broad's perspective there. I think, it was shocking to me to hear from some of Councillor Broad's residents in regards to their concerns, which actually was the first time it really fell onto my radar, which then led to conversations I had with councillor colleagues in the municipality of Chatham-Kent to gain a little bit more information too. So I know that the concerns are very serious, they're widespread, and I would just echo Councillor Broad's comments that we should all take this very seriously. Take a few moments and dig into it a little bit and see what we can do to add our voice.
Thank you. Councillor Case.
Yes, Mr. Warren, through you. Mr. Cole, would you mind sending something out to our municipal offices on this subject so we can get the information to our staff, which will in turn get it to the council as soon as possible? If that could be done, that would be very much appreciated. So an email to our administrations. And just on the point that Councillor Broad made, I don't need any more truck traffic through my community when it comes to landfill traffic, to be specific. Thank you.
Thank you. And did Mr. Cole want to comment on that? Please.
Thank you, through the warden, to Councillor Case. Absolutely, we can share that both with councillors here, so you have that information directly, as well as the administration. That's easily done.
Okay, Councillor Bradley.
Simply to maybe a bit broader, sorry, was to endorse your comments and have it sent down to the lower tier councils as soon as possible. Same thing. But I think it's important because we went through this with Toronto for how many tortured years, Mr. Case? And I think we need to get into the game early and to support Don Euphemia on this.
Okay, Councillor Agar.
I was just going to say down the line, I think we could all have neighboring host agreements. You can request that kind of stuff. And the reasoning I see on the news, Michigan news this morning, is they're wanting to raise their landfill for garbage up to $5 a ton from 48 cents a ton. So obviously that has a part in this too.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on that? Councillor Loosely.
Yeah, thank you, Warden Merritt. Just a thought maybe to pass on to the treasurer. And you know, I've never agreed comparing budget to budget numbers. I'd like to see actual numbers. I know we've dealt with that, but if we're not going to use actual numbers, I'd like to see the treasurer consider distributing the budget the middle of January to be approved the 1st of February instead of the end of February. If they'd look at that, thank you.
We've dealt with that before, but Mr. Pilarchio, would you like to give an update on that, please?
I think the councillor's talking about the timing of budget delivery and information in the budget. We often review postmortem our budget approaches and strategies coming to the budget. So the points taken, we'll definitely consider it. But we do have some financial system upgrades that we have to take into consideration as to what we can actually produce and provide. So it may not be until it might not be for 2025, but could strongly consider for 2026.
Okay, thank you. Anything else under other business before we move on to the bylaws? Seeing none, Ms. Leger, please.
It is moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Agar, that bylaws 7 and 8 of 2024 as amended be taken as read for first and second time.
All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried.
And it is moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Agar, that bylaws 7 and 8 of 2024 as amended, taken as read a third and final time.
All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried as well. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Bean moves and Councillor Dennis seconds. All in favor? That's carried. Please join me with O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on